Whoops. LinkedIn says you're not approved.
Oh, no.
Well, we'll figure that out later.
Wah, wah.
But we are live on Facebook and YouTube currently.
We are live.
Yes.
Our first live session.
Yes. Welcome to Pop Psychology Live, where we're actually live.
We are absolutely live on our live show.
Wow.
It's
amazing what can be done.
I know. It's amazing technology. Well, welcome to the live edition of Pop Psychology Live. That's great. That's awesome. Thank you, Scott, for facilitating that, by the way. Scott is our resident computer genius. So thank you for helping out with that. I appreciate that.
Well, the important part is that everybody gets to see now all of the things we messed up that before we could just cut out
right.
and act like we didn't do it.
Oh, you thought that the edited version was long. You should have seen the real podcast that we did.
Right. But now you are with us.
You
and
are.
You will see how this really goes down.
This is going to be crazy.
Grab a lunch, maybe a dinner, grab a blanket and a pillow. We're going to be here for a while.
All right. Well, I am Doc Elliott. And this is my partner, Scott. I have been a crisis negotiator and workplace violence prevention facilitator and trainer for over 40 years. And I've been in forensic psych for just as long. And then Scott, as I mentioned, he does everything. Just I don't even know where to start. What Scott does, he just does everything. So I'll let you kind of tell a little bit about yourself.
So if you look at our screen names, I'm just Scott G.
Oh,
and I think
that
I was
sounds
being
like a rapper, dude.
Yes, I thought I was being anonymous, but then I saw that you put your full name out there, and then I thought, well, maybe I shouldn't hide in the shadows. My name's Scott Galbraith.
No, don't hide. It does no good whatsoever. They'll find you anyway.
Apparently, yeah.
People have resources. It's called the internet.
So my name's Scott Galbraith. I worked in psych for a good number of years, and then I moved into the technology realm where I build things using humans and their feedback on what they would like me to build them. And those are the things I work on most often. So
and it's
welcome everybody.
And it's not just little things. It's like big things, like helping air traffic controllers know where planes are and where planes know buildings are and things like that. So like amazing things, not just little things. Okay. Just letting you know.
Well, that's all part of the enjoyment of the experience. If nobody crashes into each other, they enjoy it a lot more, we found out.
And so those of you out there who have been flying, Scott has been instrumental in making sure you don't crash. So that's really
I don't know about instrumental. Maybe I made a nice little rounded button or something.
Okay. All right. That's cool. But it helps. Every little button helps. I mean, if you don't have a button, you don't know what to push. Like, where do I push? Where do I push? Oh no.
And we do live by that motto here at Pop Psychology Live. Every little button helps. So whether it's you're pushing someone else's buttons or working with a device,
good motto.
Mind those buttons.
We will push your buttons as long as well as rubbing your brain. We will push your buttons. So that's excellent.
And the reason we incorporate buttons is so that we can rub your brain a little more accurately. We don't just want to go in there and just be beaten around like a monkey on some drums.
Right. So we're pinpointing the button pushing.
The proper buttons.
Right. When we rub your brain. That's excellent. That's awesome.
Yeah. Hope y'all like it.
Yeah. So as usual, our disclaimer is that this is Pop Psychology Live, where you'll hear the worst psychological advice and viewpoints you will ever hear on the internet or wherever you listen to them. You would get much better advice if you went to a mountaintop and listened to your own echo. So please don't listen to us. This is only for entertainment purposes only. And the California Board of registered psychologist actually approves that disclaimer, by the way. And if you're needing quality content, this isn't the place to go looking for it.
You've been
Go look
misled.
for something else and somebody else. Go to anyone else, and you'll get much, much better advice and viewpoints. And if you're, as always, if you're experiencing a mental health emergency, please seek the appropriate advice or call 911. Don't listen to us because you'll get nowhere. Yeah. And please,
we are glad you're here.
Link below or wherever it is.
However you found your way here, whatever dark, weird turn your life took that you ended up listening to us here, we are.
Are you talking to me or them?
I was talking to you, Doc, because it's usually just us listening to each other.
Right.
So it couldn't really be anybody else out there.
Yeah.
No, we're glad you're here. We're glad you're listening, and we hope you find this entertaining. We do talk about pop psychology topics, popular psychology, even though some of the things we talk about are quite unpopular. But unpop psychology has yet to become a term. I don't know why. Perhaps we'll be able to coin that, or they will.
I think we need to tap. We need to tap on the screen a little bit. You've frozen.
Oh, I feel fine over here.
Yes. Are you warm and nice and toasty?
I'm doing okay.
Because your image,
sunny. It's about 75.
Oh, there you go. Okay, you are unfrozen. Yeah.
Very nice. It just took perseverance.
Yes.
And there's a lesson for everybody.
Yeah. So, just as Scott says, we are so glad if you have tuned in. We want to make this as fun and entertaining as possible. And like I said, it's for entertainment purposes. So we're going to try to do that with our content.
Hey, I know what it was. It was the earmuffs. The earmuffs made everybody think I was frozen.
Oh,
but I am not.
Okay. All right. Hey, can you see my famous psychologists behind me?
They're very little, and
Yes.
I know that they have had much greater influence than what they're actually physically representing behind you right now.
Right.
So go ahead and give those guys a shout. Talk about them.
Yes. Yeah. My famous psychological team here, made up of famous psychologists from the past who whittled and developed our present day psychiatric community here.
So from here, it's tough to tell exactly who they are. I have some ideas because I see some of them are actually in dresses. But I'm going to go ahead and give that the benefit of the doubt that those are women.
Yes, they are, because we had some very, very influential women in psychology that helped shape what we do today. So on the top here, the males, that's Jean Paget, I think it's French, more so, and then of course Carl Jung and Sigmund. There's Sig right there. There's Sigmund Freud, and then B.F. Skinner right there, and there's William James. Right
no
there.
dogs like Skinner, by the way.
Yes,
he is known throughout the dog community. And nobody's favorite. Worse than the mailman.
No, dogs hate that. There's John B. Watson over here, and of course Ivan Pavlov over here with his dog right here, like that. Rounding out the female group here, that's Margaret Washburn right here. There's Mary Culkin right there. There's Karen.
Not that Karen.
There was a Karen, yes. But see, the first name wasn't really bad at that time, but the last name is Karen Horney. Poor Karen Horney.
What was her field of study?
I think she was a sexologist. I think
maybe.
There's Mary Ainsworth.
Right, we'll have to read up on her
with a nice dress. I like that. And of course, Mamie Phipps Clark right here. And that rounds out all 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12. We have 12 influential psychologists that shaped and formed our psychology of today.
And and those 12 are magnetic or sticky?
They are magnetic, and I can stick them on things, and
Okay.
I travel with them and put them on refrigerators and everything. So yes.
A few weeks ago, we talked about buttons. Is it possible that we can get these folks on buttons? And would they have any value if we did?
I'm sure that we could, but I would suspect if we search the internet, we could find buttons that had their likenesses on them, though.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure. But I'm willing to find out.
We can trade for them if not.
Yes, absolutely. I'm willing to investigate that.
Okay. Fantastic.
And I have my shirt on, my Summer Sanitarium shirt with Metallica and the rest. The Summer Sanitarium tour of 2000. With look at all of them here. My gosh.
I know at least 3 of those guys.
The inmates.
Yeah. I worked with one of them, that guy in the back. I worked with him.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
With the red hair?
Yeah. Yeah, I remember him. So what's happening this week? I know you just got back from a trip to the Midwest.
I did.
On the West Coast. And how was that?
I did. It was absolutely wonderful. It's one of the first times actually that I've gone back home. I grew up in Missouri, in southern Missouri in the Ozarks. It's one of the first times that I've actually gone back and spent at least 2 weeks with the family where we didn't do much business at all. It was just over 2 weeks of every single day fitting as much fun in the Ozarks as we could. So the first week we spent at the family farm, which was great because there's no Wi-Fi. The internet is very spotty. So no one really got in the habit of using any devices that much. It was mostly we didn't have time because we were exploring and we were
and for those folks that were sitting by their laptop waiting for the next episode of Pop Psychology Live, that's exactly why.
That is the reason why
I've been waiting until today.
That's the reason.
But important note on that this is a mental health trip. That this is people talk about keeping that balance, having not breathing too much smoke, as if you live in LA area and are deeply embedded in smoke every minute of your day. So this was in part a nice way to not just spend time with family, but to get some of that balance and family time and
Absolutely.
just enjoy the fresh air. And
yeah, it was just amazing being in that fresh air. And a couple of points to that. When we returned from the Ozarks and that pure air out there, 2 of our kids complained that when they did return to California, when we got back, that they couldn't breathe as well. And so they actually noticed the smoke and the air change when they got here. They said, I'm just not breathing as well as soon as we got back. And
can we go back?
Welcome to LA, right?
And that's the case on a good day. And there doesn't have to be fire there.
No, not at all. And I learned a fact. My 18-year-old boy, he had lung surgery last year, and it was they had to remove an entire quarter section of his lung. And during that time, when he was in the hospital, he was talking to one of the nurses, and the nurse said that that she and my son have smaller lungs, that we live in the city. And she says, yeah, just because we live in the city, we have smaller lungs. People who live in the country have larger lungs because the air is better and they breathe more. And I was shocked at that. I didn't even know that, but
little tiny urban lungs.
Yeah, urban lungs.
Yeah.
We do. And I hate that, by the way, because I had big lungs when I lived in
Yes.
Missouri,
Yes. You got
and
big
they
Midwest lungs.
shrank. I was crushed to know that my little urban lungs now are a result of coming to California.
Oh, that's just sad.
So I thought that was really interesting that our lungs are smaller if we live in the city rather than the country here. So they did notice that difference. But so first week was on the farm, and there was nothing to do except wander, and we have 80 acres out there to have fun with, um,
Nice.
and pastures and windmills and rock quarries where we found quartz rocks, and the barn. Of course, the barn had the farm has been in the family since I think the 30s, I believe, and so it's kind of a family farm. It's been passed down a couple times, and so I actually met my cousin that I grew up with there in the Ozarks, um, and when we were kids, and we haven't seen each other in 50 years, and so she met me there. And all of our family, the family with their family, and so we had a big family thing like we used to do back in the 60s
Oh,
and 70s, where the family farm had life and had just like the commercials you see where the long table and the food out for holidays and things and outside, and so we met there, and we haven't seen each other in so long, and we explored the old barn, and it still had old toys that she played with when she was a kid, and then of course we unveiled the 55 Chevy that's been sitting there for 45 years, and
oh boy.
it's just pristine. It's not even the paint job needs to be changed. It is
Oh,
so
I saw
so
the
nice.
pictures of it. It's just
Right.
a beaut.
It's a beauty. The headliner is still intact and perfect and everything. It's like it's just perfect. And so we worked out a deal, and I agreed to take that out of the barn. It's been in the barn for 45 years, and it needs a home to go to and be restored fully. And so that's something that myself and my kids decided that we would do. And so we are taking the 55 out of the barn next year, and it's going to go to a good home, and we're going to restore it here in California.
Oh, that's fantastic. What a great project, too.
Yes, absolutely. So we're really looking forward to that. So first week on the farm, and then the next week was in Branson, Missouri, where my family lives, and so we did Branson stuff. We did roller coasters and Silver Dollar City,
Is
and the Branson.
Yahoo Serious still there?
Yes,
Is he?
yes, I believe
Goodness.
he is. I think he's got his own little theater like Dolly Parton. I think.
It's Yahoo Land.
Right. And just did a lot of fun things, and every day we did lots of flea markets because my kids, that's their number one destination when they get to Missouri is flea markets, because they get all the Hot Wheels they can't get in California. It's hard to get good Hot Wheels in California, so they go to the flea markets and get them all there. I think they came home with 40 or 50 each Hot
Nice.
Wheels with great
Nice.
finds and things. So and we stayed at a resort, so we had a like a house there, and the animals all were playing together, and so it was just a great time, and visited with the family and got lots of good food, and gained weight, of course, because when you go home, you always gain weight.
Right. It's encouraged.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, the road trip itself, and you're eating the junk online, or on the road, and then of course when you get home and they feed you mounds of food and cakes, and in Silver Dollar City having funnel cakes, so it's just unavoidable. I knew it was going to happen. It did. Now I'm working on that afterwards.
And for those that don't know, as Doc or I are traveling, we will be doing shows live from the road, down the road,
Yes.
as we go along. Now that we have the live platform, you get to see all of the embarrassing things we do while we're on the road as well.
Yes. And fun things too.
And fun. I mean, that's,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
That's what
because I leave tomorrow morning, and going to
for
Atlanta.
Atlanta. Is that right?
Atlanta, to do a keynote speaking engagement on workplace violence. And along the way and
For or
back,
against?
I'm sorry.
For or against?
We're against the
Okay,
workplace violence,
good.
right?
Just
So
checking.
it's a
People have
prevention,
different views these
not
days.
an encouragement.
Okay.
So thank you for
You never
clarifying.
know. People have
Yeah,
different views these
yeah,
days, and I like
right.
to hear people's side of the story.
Yeah, I appreciate you clarifying that because
Yes.
that's an important that's a detail. The prevention of workplace violence. Yes.
Good, good. And anybody listening that is for workplace violence, do what we said at the beginning, which is first, stop listening. Second, go call somebody for help.
Right, exactly. There
Because
are lots of other YouTube channels for
yeah,
that
you're not
if you
right.
want to see it.
And that is a clinical term. Being not right in the head is a clinical term.
It is. It
It's in the
is. For
DSM-5.
entertainment purposes only, it is. It is. Absolutely. Yeah. So I will, on the way there and back, I will be stopping off at some of the old 1800 sanitariums. And I call them sanitariums because that's what they were back then.
Yeah.
Now we have behavioral health facilities, but back then there were sanitariums and asylums, and they're still around, and they're not functioning for the most part. So, but they're still standing. And so in the South and the East, a lot of the old sanitariums are still around. The West, they've torn the majority of them down. So I'm looking forward to stopping off in different states: Alabama, Louisiana, Atlanta. Right outside of Atlanta, there's one Central State Hospital.
I bet there's some gems in
Oh my gosh,
Louisiana.
they look just like they do in the movies. The ominous old sanitariums with gigantic Grecian columns and things. It's just amazing. The one in outside of Atlanta is like that, and there's one in Louisiana also. But they're big and scary, and I'm really looking forward to going and exploring them. So I've got about six on the list to do that. So that's going to be a lot of fun.
Yes, I know you love that.
And I'll have lots of pictures and video to show from that.
Well, maybe by next week we'll have it figured out where we can show stuff like that while we're doing this as well.
Yeah, that would be awesome. Now I want to get to the point where I can take the camera around and or phone and have some details of maybe going exploring some of those places.
Absolutely, very nice.
Yeah.
So what's happening in the world of pop psychology this week? Any big news you've heard of? Anything exciting that you thought,
there is a lot happening, obviously, because
there's always a lot going on.
If you are not under a rock, you've realized there's a lot going on in the last few weeks. So we're obviously working up to the elections, and that's just got a lot of people polarized, and so that's the obvious one. And I think I'm going to stay away from that one until maybe next week, just because it's just like I said, the obvious one, and that's a given. And we'll see more of it kind of ramp up as we get closer to November. The one thing I just as a fun fact, I think, is that we've seen some strange things going on in this year, right? My kids,
one or two, I think.
Yeah, at least two or three. My 14-year-old actually has a list now. He has a list of all the weird things that have happened in 2020, and so he'll hear about something. Oh, that's going on the list. So he has this really long list of just absurd things that are going on in 2020. It's just I love his list. There was a new one that got on his list yesterday. I don't know if you've heard about these things, but we had the murder hornets a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
Right. The murder hornets coming into the United States, and the gigantic hornets that can kill people, and then they kill the bees in the hives and things.
They'll carry off your children and livestock, and they'll move in your house.
What the reports we're hearing.
Yeah, they were huge.
And so, have you heard? Yesterday, I heard there was a new creature to be concerned about. Have you heard about the pus caterpillar?
No, I thought you were going to talk about the cocaine boars.
No, those were cocaine wars.
The Coke Wars.
Yeah, no,
No,
no, no,
what is it? A pus snake? Pus
no,
worm?
pus caterpillar. It's a worm.
Caterpillar? Like the
It's a
little cute
caterpillar.
little fuzzy
Yes,
guys?
but it's not cute.
No?
It's not
What is
cute.
this? What does
Look
it
this
do?
thing up. I want to make sure we have in the future uh, podcast the ability to put pictures up, because this thing is absolutely just one of the most amazing things you'll ever see. It's a caterpillar, and it is venomous. We have a new venomous caterpillar to worry about now.
Is this in any way related to the two female scientists that came to the understanding of a more perfect gene splicing?
Maybe.
And they won the Nobel Prize for it. This is last week. They won the Nobel Prize for a better gene repair technology or splicing or something. And do you think this is maybe one of the results that they're like, hey, why don't we?
This is one of the
make a venomous
byproducts that they kept in a box that is now unleashed. It is out.
Well, now we know. So we've probably all seen Search for the Holy Grail, Monty Python.
Yeah.
And with he had huge fangs. The bunny, that's next. The bunny, like a rabid Easter bunny, is what will be coming out in the spring next year. So keep your eyes peeled.
Oh my God! So it looks. I wish I could show you a picture. It looks like a bad toupee.
Oh, no. The comb over caterpillar.
Look it up. Look it up. It's just hideous looking. It looks like a bad toupee.
I'm looking right
now. You have to look it up just while you're.
I'm looking right now. I have to spell this right, or Google could send me in any number of directions.
Yes, pus caterpillar, the venomous caterpillar. It looks like a bad toupee with horns.
How is that dangerous? It's like it's a toupee for a How You Train Your Dragon.
Yes,
that's what it looks like. It would sit on top of the little dragon.
Yes. Is that the most amazing thing you've ever seen?
That look like wigs are popping up in Virginia. Oh, so it's a pus caterpillar. That's the larva, but then it turns into a southern flannel moth.
Whoa.
And you've never seen anybody in the South wear flannel, so you know that this is deranged.
It is.
The toxic toupee is what National Geographic calls it. Oh no. So it apparently its name is the Megalopyge opercularis, and it's a moth.
Easy for you to say.
Yeah, right. But it's a southern flannel moth.
Yeah. So the caterpillar time on Earth is, I guess, when it's dangerous, is when it's a caterpillar, and so it's venomous, and so they're telling people to watch out for it. That's new this week. So that got on my son's list this week of weird things happening in 2020. That's right under the murder hornets, I think. And did you hear? So that's one of the latest things. The other thing that I thought was really interesting was that no one's heard of this. I just got this little snippet of information through some sources, but I hear that there was a monkey, and I believe it was in India, that actually stole some of the COVID samples from a lab. It was the monkey was in the lab
to do their own research.
Yes, for horrible circumstances.
This is how Planet of the Apes started.
Exactly. It's
some COVID samples. That's where it starts. It all starts with just grabbing a few samples. Next thing you know, you're trying to rule the planet, take over from the humans, and that's when it gets ugly.
And
I hope his parents.
The beach has the Statue of Liberty on it.
What's that?
Like the beach has the Statue of Liberty, like in the original Planet of the Apes.
Yes. Remember? Well, don't ruin it for everybody.
Yeah. So it evidently stole the COVID samples and ran out of the lab, and so nobody knows where they are. So they're COVID samples in test tubes right now that monkeys are throwing back and forth to each other somewhere in the tree.
Throwing at people at the zoo.
Yeah, it's in the public now. So
okay, so hold on. We have to rewind this just a little bit. It was a lab.
Yes.
In where did you say?
I believe it was in India.
In India.
Yeah.
So it was a lab which has doors and stuff like that, and presumably they lock stuff, especially if they're dealing with biological weaponry.
You got those little, card readers, the zip card readers. Yeah.
But somehow, was it a internal job? Was it a monkey on the inside?
I think it was a monkey on the inside. I believe it was.
So it wasn't like just a random street monkey. It wasn't.
No, it was one of the
roaming around like, hey,
yeah,
I smell something over there. I'm going over to.
No, he just wanted to get revenge. He was like, screw this. I'm out of here, and I'm going to take this as I go.
The electrodes off. He's like, I'm out of here, and I'm taking these samples with me. So they don't have their monkeys chipped. I mean, I would think
I'm sure they will.
Monkey chipped, and this is a public service announcement for anybody that does not have your monkey chipped. Get your monkey chipped.
Please.
It's just good practice.
Good sense. Good sense.
And that way they could find their COVID.
Yeah, and so now it got out, and now there's COVID samples in the hands of wild monkeys in India up in the trees somewhere. I just thought that was a very interesting fact for this week.
So do we get any more characteristics of this monkey? Was he a slight monkey and he's looking at these COVID samples as the equalizer between him and some of the bigger guys? Was he a bully monkey that he's going to now go take over the monkeydom?
No, I think he just was done being taken advantage of and was not going to be a guinea pig, so to speak, anymore.
Guinea monkey. Yeah, but surely he knows that stealing is wrong.
Well, yeah, and
he'll have to answer to his own conscience over time.
And experimenting on monkeys isn't right.
Well, then now we have an ethical dilemma.
See?
What is the greater ethical crisis? Is it experimenting on monkeys, or is it monkeys stealing your COVID?
We should have a poll on that one.
Can we do polls? We'll see if we can do polls on here. I think we can do that on Facebook.
Yeah, please find out if we can do polls during the podcast.
Monkey theft or monkey testing? Which is the greater ethical crisis? Now, I don't even want to get into arming monkeys. We don't even want to go down that line.
Oh God!
Whether they have,
we will have Planet of the Apes.
All right, so we got that.
Yep. So those are little tidbits of this week that are happening. Just events of the week.
It's funny when you scroll down through the news, and it really depends on which news you go to. Is kind of which side you're going to be leaning towards on what the stories focus on.
Yeah.
But it seems like there is a general consensus that only calamity matters. that there's I don't remember the last time I saw a good news items. I know sometimes local news will do a thing of like, oh, and today we had a new baby giraffe at the zoo. Something like that. Or somebody donated something, or this helped some people, and you get those maybe once a month. Is it? It's not really that popular for people to do good stuff. It's more sensational to do terrible things, and that's kind of our focus now. That's what qualifies it as news. But it is interesting when you when you scroll through one of the news feeds, and you do come across something like what is it? A southern flannel moth.
That was front page news on
like southern flannel moths as adults are okay. Don't mind. They're fine. They'll flitter around your light as adults, but before they go through puberty, these southern flannel moths are devastating. They will bite you, and so are they deadly? Will it cause a rash, or will it incapacitate you? Will you lose a limb over it? Do they kill you?
I think it's kind of like a spider bite that I heard of.
Itchy? Is it
And
itchy?
speaking of spiders, our kids were introduced to Missouri spiders. They had
Oh,
not seen some of the Missouri spiders that they encountered there.
that do not have tiny urban lungs. The
No, no,
Midwest spiders can run.
no. They've seen the garden spiders, which are like about that big, right? Garden spiders, and they're gigantic in the
That's
body.
with their legs, right? Not their body.
This, right? The body, yes. Bodies are like this, and they're beautiful. They're black,
You
and
don't want to see a crab-sized
oh,
spider on
it
your
is,
wall.
and they put their webs in between tall weeds. So if you walk through the tall weeds, sometimes you encounter them in your face. Yeah, but they don't bite, so they're really.
I gotta say, that's one thing
Really?
I don't care for about spiders. That sneakiness
The
of them.
sneakiness, yes.
Yeah, I think they're great, and
Yeah.
I'm all for them. I'm favorable. I'll fight for their rights. Spiders should exist. I like them. If they were up in that corner right there in my room, that's fine with me. I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
The things I don't care for is I've had one that was about 2 layers down in the toilet paper roll. So you're there at your most vulnerable, right? And you go to pull the sheets off, and then it's like a trampoline, and this thing goes what? That's terrible. And that is a socially irresponsible spider. That is somebody that he's just trying to do that, and had bad parents. Anyway, sorry. Go ahead.
Are you sure that somebody just didn't put those spiders in there? They're usually not that
enemies.
devious.
We all have enemies, and mine put spiders in my toilet paper.
Yeah, but this time
anyway.
they were introduced to. We have, you've seen Daddy Longlegs.
Yeah.
We have in Missouri. We have the Granddaddy Longlegs, which are gigantic, and the bodies are the size of a dime.
Yeah.
And they congregate in together.
Really?
For some reason, yeah, they're in like swarms.
They're social creatures.
And so yeah, they're social, and so they don't have to deal with COVID, I guess, because they're all together, and there'll be like 300-400 of them all in one gigantic corner. If you have like a house that has not been lived in for years, or a wood pile or something, there'll be like 200-300 of them all together, that size. And so,
are you sure it wasn't a conference?
No, that's next
like,
week.
were there tables with swag and
No,
stuff?
no,
around
that's
them?
next week. That's next week.
Okay.
But if you disturb that, then they all come alive and they all go in different directions, and it's the most horrifying thing you'll ever see.
Good garbage. Yeah.
It'll look like a horror movie.
Yeah, absolutely.
I still to this day can remember times when that happened to me when I was a kid and disturbed a nest of those things, and they just went everywhere. So they were able to see the nest this time and experience that for themselves.
I believe everybody has those horror stories, and that's because of the spider's sneaky nature.
Yeah,
that they give every kid a story to tell. I had one. I was at a friend's house, and we would all rode our bikes to everybody's house when we were kids, right? And
sure.
we'd, at sunset or whatever, and we'd ride to their house. There's a whole bunch of us, and they'd be like, "Okay, great, let's all meet in the backyard." So we'd all go run around the side of the house to be in the backyard. So I'm running around the side of the house, and they're like, "Stop, stop, stop!" And I'm not very good at listening to people, but for some reason, I did obey at that point, and I stopped. And they came around the side of the house with a flashlight, and no more than an inch from my face was this massive spider and his entire web that I was getting ready to charge right into because it was dark and I had no idea it was there. And that's traumatic. That'll mess you up for life.
It is, especially when you're a kid. Even as an adult, that's traumatic. That's just it's insane. Yeah, I have run into in the dark those spiders, and the ones with the big juicy bodies, right? And
Yeah.
they smacked my forehead. I mean, literally, it felt like this. It like had that feeling and that sound, just like that. Oh, oh, oh no! You knew it was still there somewhere.
Yep. And then you feel the itchy little
Yeah.
thread dragging around on your head. You're like, get it off.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a whole show of psychology of spiders. Believe me,
We
arachnophobia. Oh, do
we'll
you know what
do
I
it.
used I don't know if you were around in California when I did this, because you lived in California while I was out here, and then you moved away, son of a bitch, and because I liked hanging out with you, and but so when Arachnophobia came out in the theaters, and it was still in the theaters, right?
Okay. Yeah.
And I watched it, and it was brilliant. I just loved that movie. And so we returned, a group of us returned, and we saw it like 6 more times. And we went to some little shop and got bags of little plastic spiders,
Oh
right?
no.
And just bags of these little black plastic spiders. And so we went back to the theater, sat in the theater kind of towards the back, and then when really suspenseful scenes would be coming up, we would toss the spiders, in the theater.
And just so everybody knows, this is Doc as an adult working in the psych field. This is not Doc as a teenager just up to
No,
mischievous things. This is Doc
no,
as an adult and a professional in the psych field. Just
absolutely.
so
I
everybody
was,
knows that.
yes, at the time I was a distinct professional in the business. And we would throw the spiders, and they would get into people's hair, right? And people would feel something, right? And then they would like do this, and then they would like look, and they would jump up.
The movie's real. The movie's real. Everybody get
And
out.
other people would respond to that because there's a scream in the theater at the same time that there's a screamy play time in the movie. And so you can have several people kind of chain reaction scream.
And ever since
We
then,
throw those
not only has it been illegal to yell fire in a crowded place, but you cannot yell spider now either.
right.
Thank you.
Because,
Thank you, Doc.
yeah, that was 1986. Yeah, whenever that movie came out. And so, yeah, we just would continue to, and just every once in a while, just it was like those whack-a-moles, just, you just have people popping up randomly, feeling stuff in their hair running out, like checking. Oh my god!
Oh goodness.
Oh god! I
That's
told my
terrible.
kids that, and they just want to do that so badly.
And they still have your poster hanging up at that theater saying, "Do not let this man into scary
Right,
movies."
exactly. I am on the list. Yeah.
The unwanted list.
Yes. God, I just thought about that. That's so funny. We had so much fun. So if you are one of those people that got traumatized back then, we're sorry. We're sorry we did that to you.
But you do know now why you're listening to us. That traumatic event caused a fork in your life that led you to listen to us today.
And oh my God, yep.
Did you
So,
know at the time that you were creating listeners for our live podcast?
now since I worked in a psych hospital, we were just creating business.
Generating. It's amazing how many people came in with a phobia.
In the theater.
Sure you did. Sure you did. Oh, yes, we all saw spiders. That's right. Yeah.
Shame on me.
That might even been that could have been what sparked what has become the selfie phenomenon. People taking pictures to make sure there's no spiders on them. Like, do I see any spiders? See any spiders? And the duck lips.
Well, yeah, the duck lips.
Yeah,
That's so the spiders won't get in your.
I don't have any spider in my mouth.
Get away.
Yes, that
Uh,
was when the world changed. That
yeah,
day in the theater.
people don't know the origins of this stuff. It's
No,
it's not appreciated enough.
but that's what we do is we try and figure that out here. That's what Pop Psychology Live is all about.
Yes, it is. It is. Uh, so
So
how long
everybody
do
made
we
it
have?
back okay.
How long do we have in our session? By the way.
Um, well, this show's about 15 minutes, but I think we started late. We're for everybody that if you were on time and noticed we weren't, we were trying to work out some of the logistics of this new broadcast software here.
So,
There's a lot to learn. We still have a whole bunch to learn
yeah,
on how to actually use this properly.
and
So
you will
we're
witness
just
our learning
eking through
curve.
right now.
You will definitely witness our learning curve. So
Yeah.
yeah, um, yeah, spider. They were
So
introduced.
how is the when you
We had,
got back? How was the smoke? Was it
it was
is it
thick. You could feel
less?
it. My kids could actually feel the smoke in their lungs, and that's why they mentioned it. They said, "Oh, I can't even breathe. What's going on with me? Do we have COVID?" I go, "No, this is just LA.
Oh no.
Oh, you've been breathing pure air." And we went out to Branson in the hills, and it's just waterfalls
Oh
and
yeah.
it's just an amazing scenery. And then they come back here and they have to instantly breathe that within a couple of days, and so it did have an effect. They noticed it right away.
So are you gonna move back to the Midwest?
Boy, that's a loaded question. um I would. I don't like, I don't deal with a cold very well. um so I think the best I could do is have a house out here, live out here for a while, and then go back there when it's nice, and like spring and summer and fall, and then come back here during the wintertime or something. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah.
We haven't worked that logistic out, but yeah,
Lots of people do that. We've been talking about the same thing.
yeah,
When we visited some friends in Arizona, that last one that we shot, or the last episode we did when we were in Arizona, got us thinking about that same thing. That I want to ride year round,
yes, right.
and so the thought, and I can do that here. I have
Ride
a fat
meaning
bike,
your bicycles and your
bicycle.
motorcycles, or both.
Yeah. Well, the motorcycle has a couple weeks a year that just you can't or
Yeah,
you shouldn't.
right.
Just don't. And but the bicycle. So I got a fat bike, and
Yeah,
it's one with those great big fat tires
yeah, those are cool.
that I can ride in the snow. So I can ride year round.
Hmm.
What I've noticed is that I'd much rather sit on the couch with a bag of potato chips than get out in 20-degree weather on a bicycle. And
There are a
that
lot
has
of
the
people that are right along with you there,
yeah,
unfortunately.
and that has a definite effect come spring.
It,
I have more chips in me than miles.
it's not just flat tires that we're dealing with.
Yeah, right. There's a tire. So yeah, we've been discussing a similar thing of like, this is we love Colorado. It's fantastic. Those three, and again, I've spent a lot of my life here in Colorado,
Mhm.
so I'm I'm used to it. I didn't really know there was a place that you could go that didn't have four seasons like that. It never occurred to me, and our friends told us like, hey, you could ride year round here,
Yeah.
and that was a new concept to me that
Blow
just
your
got me
mind.
thinking.
Just blow
Yeah.
your- Yeah.
So
See,
maybe
we're
we
kind of the
all do that
opposite.
same
We're the
thing.
opposite. Is we like seasons, and we want more seasons. It's just out here in California, we have no seasons whatsoever, and it's tiring. We like the rain and weather and stuff. So I'd like to spend more time back in seasons.
Well, maybe that'll be something that we all work towards is
Mhm.
that we have our 3-season domicile and then we have our 4th season domicile. And that'll be the dream for everybody.
That's living the dream. for
Great.
sure. Now we just have to pull that off.
Yeah, right. That's a whole other thing.
Right.
I was noticing this last week we had another hurricane make land down
Yesterday and
in
the
the
day
Gulf.
before,
Yeah.
and I'm going to be going through the aftermath of that in a couple of days, actually. So I'll be going through southern part of Louisiana where it hit, and hopefully I can get through the roads around there.
I would guess as this goes on year and year after year after year now, it used to be a rarity. I think it was infrequent that this happened. But now that like we're up to Delta now, we're in the Greek alphabet this year.
Yeah.
Uh, so we ran out of our letters, and now we got to borrow other people's letters to
Right.
account for all these storms. And I'm thinking there's a couple effects. One is that you're going to be able to get some really good bargains on property down there if you want it. But the other is that a lot of people are going to vacate that area into little less deadly zones
Yeah.
that might still have nicer weather
I mean,
without all the cost of life and
right.
property.
I mean, even Texas didn't have the problems that they have now. And Louisiana's always had a problem with that, but even Texas now, every year Texas is having big hurricanes and flooding. Houston, and that's something that's fairly new the past 5 years or so. And it's like you're saying, it's not going to go away. It's just this is going to increase.
When we were in Louisiana and we were in, what is it? What's the New Orleans?
Yeah.
And which was built below sea level, which
Yes, that's
seems
why you
like
have to bury people above sea level, above the ground.
that seems to me like there's the lack of foresight. If you
Mhm.
build next to an ocean and you build below sea level, that it seems to me like somebody would have thought, hey, wait, do you know that water can easily go downhill? And maybe if we build our city down that hill, it's not the
Mhm.
best. But I guess it didn't occur to him, kind of like Venice. What could be wrong with building a city on the ocean?
Right.
What could go wrong there? Nothing, right?
No. Not a lot of forethought back centuries ago.
And maybe we just didn't understand various engineering principles. I'm sure it was pretty. It was a pretty
Yeah,
place, and
I
this is a
don't
great
know.
place to live.
The
Start building.
Egyptians figured that out thousands of years ago. They knew they had it going on.
When you see that tremendous bargain on seaside land, and you're like, "Oh, this is so cheap. This is a dream come true."
Oh, I can't wait. What?
It's when you realize that if it seems too good to be true, it
Yeah,
is. And I think that is pretty much a universal law, uh, based on the hearts of humanity. I believe that is universal. If
yes,
it seems too good to be true, it is. That's not pessimistic. It's just a reality check for you to
yeah.
acknowledge. Don't let your dreams overcome what
No,
reality is.
no. I've tried to teach that to my kids, and some of they were cheap mistakes, so I just kind of let them make the mistakes. I advised them once, and when they said no, I think it's okay. Okay, you
Okay.
can buy that, right? And of course, either nothing comes, or they get ripped off, or it's not like the picture, or it's just the cheapest little thing and knock off, and it breaks within 2 days, and so I've allowed them to learn those lessons in person sometimes.
And this is a true difference between moms and dads. So people can say what they want about how there is no difference between a mom and a dad. There's a big difference
Yeah.
because a mom will just keep nagging you or not letting you do it. No, 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 it's not good. A dad will tell you once, here's why you shouldn't do that. It's not a good idea. And then when you insist on doing it, they're like, all right, go ahead.
All
Go
right,
ahead.
go
As
ahead.
long as your life is not in danger,
Right.
There will be a lesson that comes out of this,
And a good
and
yeah.
and you'll know it. You'll know it better than if I told you 50 times.
Yeah.
And I remember you and I, we had an incident like that with the Shell game. The man
Oh,
at,
yes.
do you remember the guy at
The
Fat
Fat
Burgers?
Burger. Yes, we were in the Fat Burger in the
Yes.
San Fernando Valley on Van Nuys
Yes.
Boulevard. Like it was yesterday.
Yes.
You and I were
And
sitting in the Fat Burger having lunch.
and he was the riverboat gambling man. The river, and he had the shells
Yeah,
and the
he
little
just came up to it.
foam,
He just came up to the table because
and he
we
had a
were.
table like built into his belt. Like
Yeah,
somehow he just produced this table and started sending these cards or his shells, this little ball, and it
yeah,
was a portable gig that he had. He
yeah.
was able to take that
Oh, he was
anywhere.
a pro. Yeah,
He was the first remote worker. It was fantastic.
yeah, really.
And he had his spiel and just his banter and bap 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 bap, and he
Yeah,
just he went down the whole list, and I
yeah.
think I came out of there like $40 lighter.
That was. I knew from the moment he was approaching that he was a con artist, and he sat down.
But do
But
you
you
know that
thought
was
you could beat it.
that was the point that lesson became real for me. That first, if it's too good to be true, it is. The second is how to identify a con man. And I learned that, and I never forgot it, and I know it to this day. It's an
That's
invaluable
awesome.
lesson that
And
has
I'm glad
saved
that was
me
part of that.
tons of money.
Yeah,
Yeah. So that $40 was a price that has saved me a lot of money over time.
yeah. That's awesome. That's awesome. I remember that day at least like it was yesterday. It was so funny. I kept saying, I don't think so. I don't think
That
you
was great.
no, I swear, I can do this.
I was like, Doc, I totally know where the ball is. And you're like, I don't think you do. And the guy's like, no, you probably do. I bet you know where the ball is. And I was like, see, Doc, he thinks I know where it's at. You're like, I don't think you know where it's at. I'm like, no, two of us agree that I know where it's at. I didn't know where.
Yeah, that was funny. God, it was
Well,
funny.
later I knew that it was in his pocket the whole time.
Yeah, along with your
But I
money.
didn't know that at the time. Yeah. All right. Valuable
Yeah,
lessons.
that was awesome. Oh, hey, I have psychology show and tell.
Oh, good. Yeah. Yes. And we have another
Psych
thing.
show and tell.
that we need
We
to-
have in past episodes we've talked about the Battle Creek Sanitarium, one of the largest sanitariums in the country, back in Battle Creek, Michigan. It's where the Kellogg brothers ran the sanitarium and then produced the Kellogg's cornflakes, and then the Kellogg's company, the Kellogg's cereal company, actually came from that sanitarium. And so we've talked about that on past episodes. Well, I have a couple of artifacts from the actual place.
good.
These came from, I think I had a candy tin in one of the episodes from the Battle Creek Sanitarium. But I have
them. They looked fresh.
Yes, little tin, little candy tin, right?
First batch of candy corn for me.
Exactly. They were very big on health, and so I have the dumbbells that they would hand out to the patients. They had morning calisthenics in the morning, and they get all the patients, the staff, the patients' families, sometimes the staff's kids, sometimes they'd all do it together. And these
look like baby rattles.
These, I know they do. They're nothing or maracas. But what I love about these is they are not heavy whatsoever. They're made of wood. They're made of wood, so they're very light, right? And I could just imagine them, doing their little thing every morning with these wooden.
I'm feeling much stronger today.
Yes, I'm feeling much better.
My strength is returning.
You could do this for a year and not make any progress on your muscles.
It's like lifting a pencil.
Right? See, look, they would be much better maracas than they would be dumbbells.
Yes.
But
And
hey,
probably more like an exercise.
yeah, but I thought that was really cool. These are the official dumbbells of the Battle Creek Sanitarium. These are probably 1910 through
Wow.
1920 or so, like that. Yeah.
Wow.
So I thought that's our psychology show and tell for today.
I like that. That is fantastic.
And the fact that they're still even in fairly good shape right now, being that they're wood after over 100 years.
They had a good patina on it, so I think there were a lot of workouts that took place.
Oh, you
with
know,
those.
I'm afraid of what else that they did with them, but at least they served a purpose with the dumbbells.
Who was it? Well, it wouldn't matter because we wouldn't really say their name. But I remember we had the patient at one of the places we worked that talked about the crazy germs. And that's what that made me think of, is that there may still be some crazy germs on those. And so you have to be careful. Wash your hands now.
Yeah, they were very concerned about that. They everything. Now it's just obsessive compulsive disorder.
Yeah.
That's just what we call it now. But back then,
Now we call it safety.
Yeah.
Now you're just being safe.
Yeah, it's just being safe.
That's why you wipe every doorknob that you go near. It's you're just being safe. No. So are they going? Do you believe that they will now strip OCD from the DSM-5 or the 6? That they will take out things like obsessive compulsive?
Because pretty much everybody's being that now.
Yeah, now they've just listed as mandatory. You must be this. So it's no longer a condition that warrants definitely not insurance is going to pay for it. Everybody has
a recommended condition at this point in time.
And also, I noticed this week we haven't asked Alexa anything, and I don't know if she gets a little snarky when we ignore her over there.
Yeah, there's Alexa.
She's still around?
Yeah, she's not in the frame on this new framing.
There. I'm trying to look around the edge there, but I can't see her.
Yeah, she's a little shy. She's
My windows got tinier. Let me see. Oh, look, let me see if I can change the view. Let's check this out. See what this does. Oops, other way. Try.
Oh, there. Oh, that's better. There's more of there.
Different people. Yeah, look at that.
Oh, that's much better. Okay. Yeah.
Hi, Alexa. Hey,
she's
Alexa.
Waiting. You have to follow that up by something.
No, I don't have anything to ask. I don't talk to those
okay. Alexa, what's the definition of pop psychology?
According to Wikipedia, popular psychology is the concepts and theories about human mental life and behavior that are purportedly based on psychology and that find credence among and pass muster with the populace. The concept is cognate with the human potential movement of the 1950s and 1960s. Did that answer your question?
It did. Thank you.
Yeah, very nice. Thank you.
Thanks for your feedback.
Well,
there you go.
She's just a wealth of information.
He is.
Thank you, Alexa.
Right. She's great.
Now we're going to have to change the entire format of the show after hearing that.
Right. We'll just play that in the beginning.
Maybe she has a disclaimer too, Alexa.
Yeah,
a mental health disclaimer.
Yeah, no, Alexa will want royalties after a while.
That's true.
Yeah.
I heard she was a gold digger.
Yeah. She's been pretty good.
All right. Well, I think we're about at our time for this week.
All right. So we've abused people enough.
Covered a few topics. One thing we didn't cover is who our sponsors are.
The sponsors. So it is sponsored by Pop Psychology Live is sponsored by PhoenixTrainingGroup.com, and that's the company where you can learn better ways to deal with conflict and workplace violence prevention training, whether it's for healthcare, law enforcement, target stores, government, civil unrest. It doesn't matter. We will teach you better ways to deal with conflict and how not to continue conflict. And so it's just kind of a good thing to do these days. It's a little bit needed. So our main sponsor is PhoenixTrainingGroup.com. The second sponsor is our wonderful Belladonna pasta sauce, sweet pasta sauce there. If you can get
Sweet.
a good shot of it there.
There we go.
There
Yes.
we go. So that's our wonderful sponsor for this week. And we will we'll have a taste test. We'll have to do like the Impractical Jokers and have a lunch session. And we'll like dining with Pop Psychology Live. We'll do.
Yes.
I'll get you some jars, and we'll have jars here. We'll have a little dining session.
We'll do a comparison
Yes.
of Belladonna to some other brands that people might know.
Ooh, yes.
Something we could do.
That would be good.
Yeah. Or we could pour it on ice cream and see what happens.
Yeah.
We could do all kinds of things.
I'm going to make a hot sauce out of it soon.
Oh, yes. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, maybe, we'll get a whole product line from Belladonna. I know she's working on some new recipes, and I know you have one too.
She is
that
busy in the kitchen
talking.
coming up with new recipes as we speak.
Yes. Okay. Well, we'll talk about that and figure out how we can go about it.
All right.
How we want to approach it.
So,
and maybe if anybody has any feedback that's listening to this, what kind of a taste test would you guys like to see?
Oh, yes. Yeah. Please give us feedback. That would be great if we got feedback. Weird, helpful, whatever. It just would be good to have some feedback on watching this and things we could do to either improve it or give it up or whatever.
And we're talking to you, Larry, the one guy that listens to our show. We're talking to you. We need some feedback.
Yeah, and watch the thing. It's not a terrible show. I've seen terrible shows. This isn't one of them. So
it's not as terrible as the terrible ones.
As programs go. So yeah, thank you for listening and watching. If you have done so or will so, and next week, do you have any topics next week that you want to talk about? I'm
not going to bring them up right now.
Okay, and we will take submissions on that as well. So if you have any
questions,
ideas for future shows, things that you want us to cover, please, that would help us a lot.
Anything that the voices want to know about, be sure and tell us. We will address the voices' concerns.
We will, absolutely, and we'll do maybe next week. We'll do Pop Psychology, Truth or Myths for next.
Hey, I have some for you too.
Oh, good.
Yes.
I'm looking forward to that. So,
and we'll discuss
Pop Psychology, Truth or Myths.
Yes, we'll discuss those. Okay.
All right.
Well, we thank you all for listening. We ask that you all go about this week, be kind to each other, to yourselves, and do something good for somebody else, and don't tell them about it. See how that works out.
Yeah, that's kind of a cool concept, and just the act of tolerance. I think that's just one of the biggest words that we should work on these days. It's just tolerance, and there's so many other ways that we can deal with conflict using that tolerance, and that's what Phoenix Training Group is all about. Is helping people learn different ways and coping skills of how to deal with conflict and trouble and arguments and just by using that tolerance. And so I just really want to put that out there to work on your tolerance, and we will too.
And it doesn't have to be the white knuckling, teeth gritting, tolerating kind of thing.
That's
But how about instead just looking at it from somebody else's viewpoint?
Yeah.
See what they see, maybe,
That's right.
and or try and imagine what they're feeling, what they're thinking, or what they might be going through. Spend
Right.
just a moment in that empathy and a little bit of understanding
Empathy
of
is
what
everything.
somebody else is going through.
Yeah, empathy is everything. And then that's what we do with crisis negotiation. We just find out what is going on with that person that's making them do what they're doing. And that's it. That's the basis of all crisis negotiation. And so in crisis negotiation skills work in any setting. So just tolerance, empathy, and so I just that's our last words for this session.
Absolutely. Have a great week, everybody. My friend, enjoy your week, and we'll talk to you soon.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.